Now, did you always want to be an entrepreneur? I'm sure you've been asked many times. You know, most of the people who are successful at a very young age seem to have, I don't know, a special something, a special gene that makes you really, you know, start young. You know, where did you, when did you first sort of feel that you had what it took?
When I was a kid, I was asking myself, why is it that there's no tech company in the Philippines? And I wanted to build something like that here.
Right.
Like, why is it that there's no Facebook and Twitter that was built in the Philippines? So I told myself one day I'm going to build my own company, which is OrangeApps.
Right.
And the product that we're doing right now was a problem when I was a student. That's why I created a solution for that, and I realized that a lot of schools have the same problem.
Right.
And it turned out as a business, and now we're building different products for education that solves real-world problems.
Okay, well, you're on the subject of problems. What was the problem that you saw, and how did you go about addressing that problem?
Well, when I was a student, I need to fall in line for like 3 to 4 hours just to register to my school, and another few hours just to pay for my tuition fee. And most of the time, I don't know what's happening into the school. Like, if there's no classes, I don't know. So I was suffering. And during those times, smartphones are actually becoming bigger and bigger. And I took that opportunity and started learning how to code online. I went to YouTube, and I was just borrowing my classmate's phone, and I launched the app. And suddenly, my classmates love it, and I realized maybe I could actually offer it to different schools.
Right. That's very millennial of you. I learned it on YouTube. Is always what they say. You know, and millennials are often unfairly labeled as, you know, kids who expect things to be sort of handed to them on a silver platter. Not the case for you guys who are on the 30 under 30 list, obviously. And I think it makes a very good case for you guys to challenge that stereotype.
Well, I agree. A lot of people think that you need a lot of resources to start something. I came from PUP, and imagine in just one computer, we need to share 8 students just to learn how to code. And because of those problems and because of those lack of resources, now you learn how to create those. Like, if you go online, you can learn a lot of things like programming or doing business or marketing. I think that's the good opportunity that we have right now, especially the millennials. I mean, you could build something from scratch, and you could build something from your home and could be scaled globally.
Right. You know, from something that was somewhat of a hurdle or a problem, you really turned it around and used it to your advantage. Perhaps it even really showed you, I'm referring to the difficulties you had having access to just, a computer, like you said, to learn to code. And to learn the type of work that was necessary for you to develop these apps. You actually used or saw the opportunity there, the fact that you had difficulties with getting your grades, getting the information, and you used that and made a solution via Kauna, you know, and it's a great play on words here. Let's talk about the product a little bit.
Just a correction. Right now, what we're trying to provide to school management platform that allows schools to manage their entire school operation by just using one school software. So right now, schools could do online learning, online grades, tuition fee payments, and big data analytics. At the same time, online learning. That all of these are available using their phones and also on the web.
Right.
So instead of them worrying about like servers or security or maining infrastructure, now they're just gonna subscribe to us, just like Facebook.com.
Right.
And technically, they could have a software. So before, they were purchasing a lot of softwares and maintaining all of those things. Now they don't need to worry about those things anymore.
Right. Are you creating, are you creating this space where you are now, or are you sort of reacting to? I don't know. Are other people doing this in other places, and you're servicing that need here, or did you create this space that now is occupied by Kauna?
Right now, what we do is technically we react to the consumer or to the schools or the customers that we have, because a lot of them are actually purchasing very expensive softwares. and it's very ugly, it's very old school.
Right.
That's why we realized maybe we could actually disrupt that. Right? They could just subscribe to us, and now they could manage the entire operation by just using OrangeApps. So
Okay.
the name Kauna, it's actually that's a previous product that we have.
Okay.
We pivoted that and we put it on the platform that we have right now, which is the online learning functions that we have.
Okay.
So we actually white label each app to each school. Let's say there's a school that we have, you could download their own school app on the Android phone or iPhone Play Store.
I see. I understand now. Okay. Well, you know, it's hard for anybody to sort of make that brave leap into entrepreneurship, but for somebody so young, it's extra challenging. Tell us a little bit about the hard road to the top. You sort of jumped in head first, not quite knowing what you were in for, but you managed to keep your head above water.
Well, it's really hard, honestly. It's really hard emotionally and mentally. But if you could always find ways.
Right.
You have other people who will help you, but a lot of people are just afraid to ask. And you know the Filipino thing wherein madiskarte tayo, and we always find ways. Right? So that's the beauty of, I think, what we've learned here in the Philippines. And I've failed a lot, so I think that's the beauty. And I failed when I was young. And now all of those failures, I use that technically to manage the team that I have right now, to build the business. Like, nobody taught me how to do finance or to manage all the taxes and other things or doing HR. But if you want something, you will do everything. Like right now, my only education is by learning online or reading a lot of books.
Right. Which is sort of the direction that many young people are sort of moving towards. What's in store for the other kind of products that OrangeApps are going to be developing?
Well, right now we're really focused on education. We look at OrangeApps as building products that solve real-world problems.
Okay.
And right now, education doesn't innovate. Like, it's been how many years? There's been a lot of changes in other products or in other markets. But if you go to education, it doesn't change.
Right.
And we realized that the main reason is that there's no company really focusing on education. That's why we're on that market. And we want to help because we've seen a lot of kids right now that knows how to use an iPad and iPhone, but when they go to the school, it's like a Jurassic World.
Right.
And that's the reality. So we realized that the companies who's solving these problems right now are spending a lot of resources, but they're selling the product in an enormous amount, like millions of pesos.
Right.
And that's why a lot of schools can purchase these softwares. And we realized, what if we could use cloud technology and mobile technology so it will become cheaper and accessible to all the schools?
You know, you have schools like De La Salle, for example, where an iPad is actually required nowadays, apparently, for kids to get their homework, to submit their homework, to interact, you know, with the teachers via email and such. Are we really that far behind?
Well, honestly, our market, we're really focused on the schools from the province.
Okay.
And you'll be amazed, like, majority of our schools are from the province. And right now, even though they don't have like an iPad, but most of them have smartphones.
Okay.
That's why we're taking advantage of that. And the beauty here is that we're actually using the data to help them analyze and predict. Like, for example, as a student, you could now know what skill sets you could focus on. As a teacher, you have the results of these activities, and now you could adapt and adjust the way you teach. For the schools, now we could help you predict, like, for example, how many classrooms you need, how many teachers you need to hire, how many schedules you need to open. Because that's the main problem every enrollment. We lack of resources, we lack classroom, we can't predict these things. But using the data, using big data analytics, now we could help them manage their business really well.
Right. Well, we seem to be talking about analytics, administrative sort of apps. Are you looking towards developing apps that are geared specifically towards learning?
Yes, right now we're actually focusing on that one as well.
Right.
Because the way we manage the school is that we have them on the back-end operations, but for the student side, like we have a function that allows them, because we've seen a lot of students right now create Facebook groups or Viber groups.
Yep.
So we integrated that to our own school application so that they could focus more on the education or learning, wherein the teachers could actually submit resources or contents, or they could create assessments, and the students could answer it anytime, anywhere using their phones.
Right, exactly.
And the teachers now, once the student answer it, the teacher will now have the capability to analyze, let's say out of 10 questions, why is it that all of them got the wrong answer on, let's say, question number 4?
Right.
Now I will analyze it as a teacher and I'll adjust. Before, they can't do that, because they need to check the papers one by one.
Yes, that's true. So making things, streamlining things and getting things a little more efficient obviously will benefit our educational system a whole lot.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Once again, congratulations to you on your success at such a young age.